From a flash flood in a Chinese mall that left shoppers in water up to their knees, and an avalanche on Lenin Peak that nearly buried this team of climbers, to a landslide in Bolivia that almost erased an entire neighborhood, and a monster volcanic eruption in Japan that spewed toxic ash miles into the sky. Here are 10 times Mother Nature showed us who's boss. Dolores is a small city in the Soriano department of western Uruguay. It's home to about 20,000 people who never thought they'd live to see a powerful tornado. They were all proven wrong on April 15th of 2016 when an EF3 twister tore through town. On the outskirts of town, a few workers were going about their business when storm clouds formed overhead. One of them could tell something was up, so he pulled out his phone and began recording the swirling winds. In an instant, those winds picked up, and our workers found themselves in the middle of a freak tornado.
A la mierda. Que la casita bien agarrado. Muchachos, vamos a la mierda acá. ¿Dónde va? Ah, los vidrios, está rompiendo los vidrios.
It's hard to blame our cameraman for not getting the best damage shots. He must have been holding on with all his might and then decided his life was worth more than good footage. The brief moments we do get show the tornado ripping off the roof across from them and throwing debris through the air. Elsewhere in Dolores, the storm flipped over cars and tore down houses. It also knocked out the telephone lines, leaving the city in chaos as they tried to contact health services. Compared to the US, these kinds of storms are extremely rare in Uruguay. This one was a not-so-gentle reminder from Mother Nature about how unpredictable she can be. Belgorod, Russia is a large city in the Belgorod Oblast. It sits on the Seversky Donets River and is about 25 miles north of the Ukrainian border. On June 1st of 2020, a local man was driving home when his dashcam captured a tornado forming in the distance. If you look closely, you can see the classic funnel taking shape as our cameraman drove right toward it. According to reports, the storm ripped the roofs off several houses on the outskirts of Belgorod and uprooted many trees. Meanwhile, the locals in nearby villages reported hail as big as walnuts falling from the sky. It's unclear if anybody was injured during either event. Tornadoes are rare in Russia. According to one study, between 1950 and 2015, Western Russia only reported 685 storms. That averages to roughly 10.5 storms each year, but we'll call it 11. Compare that to the US, which, according to the National Weather Service, sees over 1,000 yearly tornadoes. Lenin Peak is a 23,000-foot mountain on the Kyrgyzstan-Tajikistan border. It's the second highest point between both countries and is considered by many professional climbers to be less technical than other mountains of similar height. But that doesn't make it any less dangerous. In July of 1990, 43 climbers lost their lives when an avalanche came roaring down the mountain. It was triggered by a 6.4 magnitude earthquake in Afghanistan that went down as one of the deadliest mountaineering disasters ever. History almost repeated itself exactly 27 years later. Thankfully, this group of climbers emerged unscathed when Mother Nature tried to take them out with a giant wall of ice and snow.
Hey!
Oh my gosh, the people know.
Oh,
God.
Åh fy fan!
No!
Åh, helvete! Ah! Ну så jävla...
Так, берем все лопаты и вперед! Все лопаты берем!
Fy fan! Åh helvete! Och där var vi för typ
Все берем лопаты!
en halvtimme sedan. Åh så jävligt.
According to our cameraman, 8 climbers had set out from base camp, hoping to conquer Lenin Peak. Then, the team of 6 Germans and 2 Swiss found themselves running for their lives as the avalanche barreled toward them. Thankfully, they all survived, but they did lose their equipment in the snow. Now, this wasn't even the first avalanche that day. According to our cameraman, his team had to call off their climb when another avalanche struck about 45 minutes prior to this one. Sancti Spiritus is a small city on the Zaza River in central Cuba. It's the capital of Sancti Spiritus province and is home to about 142,000 people. On the outskirts of the city, a 40-year-old bridge used to stretch over the river, connecting Sancti Spiritus to the small town of Zaza del Medio. We say used to because in May of 2018, a freak flash flood washed the bridge away. A cameraman was standing on the parallel train tracks when he decided to record the rushing water. He captured the moment when Mother Nature nearly swept 2 people away.
Esto sí es historia. Vivo, ahora sí has firmado tú algo grande en tu vida. Yo sabía que este momento me iba a llegar. ¿Viste eso?
Look how close those people came to falling in with the debris. One of them even had their foot on the collapsing piece before they scampered away. Luckily, both made it back to dry land. They'll probably never look at a bridge the same way again. The collapse occurred due to one of the largest floods on the Zaza River in recent years. It was a detriment to the small town of Zaza del Medio, which relied on the bridge to connect them to the main city. Otherwise, they're cut off by water to the east and south, with a dead-end road heading north into the forest. Thankfully, they do have a road heading east to the towns of Siguane and Taguasco, so they weren't totally cut off from the modern world. Mount Aso, also known as Aso-san or the Aso volcano, is the largest volcano in Japan. It's also among the largest calderas in the world. It stretches about 16 miles north to south, 11 miles east to west, and roughly 75 miles around. For reference, picture a caldera with more land area than New Orleans. Mount Aso is also one of Japan's most active volcanoes. On October 20th of 2021, CCTV cameras positioned on the Aso outskirts caught the massive eruption in all its glory. Watch as smoke rises slowly into the sky while cars scramble out of a nearby parking lot. It may look like the mountain is erupting in slow motion, but we promise this is real-time footage. You can tell by watching the cars moving around at the bottom of your screen. According to reports, the ash plume stretched about 2.2 miles into the air, while the eruption itself sent large stones tumbling down the mountain. There was one scary moment when officials learned about 16 people who had gone hiking on the mountain that morning. Thankfully, all of them returned safely, and nobody was harmed during the eruption. Footage from the parking lot below helps put everything in perspective. The eruption forced the Japanese Meteorological Society to raise the local volcanic alert level to 3 out of 5. They warned locals of pyroclastic flows reported about a mile from the main crater and told them to be on the lookout for large cinders falling within 2 miles. Thankfully, everyone remained safe during the eruption. As the largest volcano in all of Japan, things could have been much worse. Between May 3rd and May 4th of 2020, severe weather plagued the area around Nashville, Tennessee. On the 3rd, a derecho brought powerful straight-line winds through the areas, knocking down trees and causing widespread damage. Then, 24 hours later, another complex of severe thunderstorms moved over the area. Everyone should have stayed inside, but one group of dedicated construction workers had a job to do. A local woman named Tiffany was home with her husband when the storm picked up. She went to her window to record, which is when she noticed the men on the 3-story roof. With no safe way down, all they could do was hold on for dear life.
Yeah, they gotta lay down. There's a tornado or something.
They need to get.
They can't down. There's stuff. Look
Oh
at that.
God, oh God.
There's a
Oh
tornado.
God. Sweetie, I'm
Go down.
scared.
Let's
No,
go down.
What about the people?
You're gonna die.
Oh my God.
Bring on the tornado. Oh man, God, hold on.
Hold on, guys. Oh my God, hold on.
They're in the middle of the tornado.
I'm worried about them. Can we help them? Is there anything we can
They don't
do?
want to keep crawl through the fire.
They can go down that hole. Oh God, that scared me. Oh my God, that wood just hit him. Oh God.
Thankfully, all 4 men survived the ordeal. One of them was able to drop down through an opening while the others clung to the roof. The whole time, Tiffany could hear them screaming as the storm moved directly over them. She has no idea how any of them were able to hang on. When the storm finally passed, she went out to see if they wanted to take shelter inside her home. They respectfully declined, got in their car, and left. It's unclear if they ever came back to finish the roofing project. On November 1st of 2020, Super Typhoon Goni smashed into the Philippines. It was the strongest storm of the 2020 typhoon season thus far, with wind speeds topping out at 195 miles per hour. Those in its direct path hardly stood a chance. On Catanduanes Island, where the storm made landfall, up to 90% of all the buildings were destroyed. West of Catanduanes, on the island of Luzon, is the province of Camarines Sur. There, a frightened group of locals huddled together inside a shopping mall as the storm passed overhead. Watch as it guts the mall from the inside out.
Mata na yata to eh.
Typically, the Philippines experiences 20 strong typhoons each year. However, they hadn't seen anything like Goni since Super Typhoon Meranti in 2016 and Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. A similar scene unfolded at a shopping mall in China in June of 2016. Severe weather had triggered a series of catastrophic flash floods that summer. Imagine being out for some casual shopping, and then all of a sudden, you're knee-deep in river water. Regions along the Yangtze and Huai rivers were hit especially hard, with 32 million people affected across 26 provinces. Damages from the flood exceeded $22 billion, and flooding wasn't the end of it. China also saw widespread hailstorms, powerful thunderstorms, and a rare EF4 tornado in Funing and Shenyang counties. La Paz, Bolivia is the highest administrative capital city in the world. It was built high in the Andes Mountains, about 11,400 feet above sea level. It's home to about 816,000 people, making it the third most populous city in the country. Unfortunately, its high elevation makes it highly susceptible to disastrous landslides. One of those landslides occurred on April 30th of 2019, after several days of intense rain. Hundreds of people evacuated the area known as Bajo Yojeta as their homes began to weaken and crack. All they could do was watch as the earth reclaimed their land. The affected area was actually a development of unsanctioned houses. The low-income neighborhood was built over an old landfill without proper planning. To make matters worse, the sewage system had many deficiencies, according to local reports. When it rained, all that water backed up, weakening the ground and triggering the landslide. According to the mayor, the earth was mixed with old garbage. At least 30 houses collapsed into what seemed like an endless pit. Thankfully, a few small landslides foreshadowed the event, which allowed for quick evacuation. However, those families had to leave ASAP and were left with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Davao de Oro is a gold and silver mining province on Mindanao Island in the Philippines. All that mining, plus extensive banana plantations, made them the second richest province in the country as of 2017. Of course, Mother Nature doesn't care about how much gold you have. On January 31st of 2024, a monsoon caused several rivers in Davao de Oro to overflow. Floodwaters battered a bridge in one local village that was made of steel and anchored in concrete. Apparently, that wasn't enough to stop the mighty power of water.
Wala gid. Walis oh. Abukto.
Left without a bridge, locals were stranded in their small village, and more extreme weather was yet to come. The storms ultimately knocked out a national highway and several more bridges. It's unclear how long it took to get things up and running again. Days later, on February 6th, all that rain triggered a massive landslide near the Apex mining complex in Davao de Oro. According to reports, 24 acres of land slid roughly 2,300 feet down a steep mountainside, burying everything that lay below. Islip Terrace is a small town on Long Island, New York. When it was founded in 1914, the town was originally called Germantown in hopes of attracting German immigrants. Then, World War I broke out and the town didn't want to be associated with Germany anymore. World War II didn't help either. Today, Islip Terrace is home to about 5,300 people. On June 30th of 2019, all of them lived through a powerful microburst storm that sent hail and 50-mile-per-hour winds whipping across Long Island. One woman was recording her dogs in the backyard when the storm literally came out of nowhere.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God. Stay here. You gotta stay. Stay. Shelby, get in here. No!
From what we can tell, no dogs were harmed in the making of this video. According to the National Weather Service, microburst storms are giant columns of sinking air typically less than 2.5 miles in diameter. There are two types, wet and dry. This one was, obviously, a wet microburst. They're usually accompanied by heavy rain and can see wind speeds over 100 miles per hour. That's like an EF1 tornado passing through your backyard. According to reports, this one knocked out power to 35,000 people across Long Island. India is among the most landslide-prone countries on Earth. Frequent rain and steep mountainsides put places like Himachal Pradesh at even more risk. Thankfully, most people know the signs and can evacuate before something bad happens. On July 20th of 2020, one of those Indian landslides occurred near Shimla's Bata Kufar fruit market in Himachal Pradesh. Shoppers fled the area while spectators recorded from an elevated road. Catching a landslide on camera is already rare. This guy caught two.
खत्म मंडी सारे प्राणा
Luckily, no injuries were reported, but the fruit market did sustain significant damage. A few shop owners lost their entire inventory when the landslide crushed their stalls. At the time, northern India was experiencing a severe wet spell. Flash floods and previous landslides had already damaged homes and crops across Himachal Pradesh. This one took a massive bite out of the local apple market. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.